A very good morning to all of you. Today we are going to learn about how to write a letter. Okay, so we are dealing with letter writing today. Okay, specifically a letter to the editor. Okay, so to a specific editor you are going to send a letter, and how you are going to write that today we are going to see this. Now, before that, you must know, okay, what a letter to the editor is. So, look at the definition. A letter to the editor is a letter sent to a publication house, especially a newspaper or magazine. Means publication house that of a newspaper or of a magazine, okay, in which important issues are being directed or focused at for getting highlighted or published. Okay, so a letter to the editor is specifically a letter, okay, sent to a publication house. As I have told you, either the publication house will be that of a newspaper or that of a magazine. Now, in which important issues are being directed or focused at. Generally, students, any issue or problems, okay, or any problem that is associated with your own colony or locality, or you can see that problem almost each and everywhere, okay, around in and your locality. Also, you can see that, somewhere where you generally go or you are associated, okay, or you use that street or that road, okay. Now, so important issues, day-to-day problematic issues, okay, generally are being highlighted. So, are being directed or focused at, definitely, okay. So, those are being focused at, those are written so that they would be published, okay, in the newspaper. So, for getting highlighted or published. Purpose of writing a letter to the editor. Now, number one, to make a mass of people, some concerned authorities / institutions and the government aware of the respective issues or problems that are being addressed. Okay, so editorial letters are written in order to make a mass of people, means a group of people or a large section of people, okay, some concerned authorities or institutions. So, some concerned authorities or institutions who are basically responsible for handling that problem, okay, or that issue is being addressed. Now, and the government, okay, aware of the respective issues or problems that are being addressed. So, what we are facing, okay, what we are undergoing day to day, those problems, those issues, okay, are being highlighted or are being focused at, okay, which are to get published and make aware a large number of people, some concerned authorities who are responsible for solving that issue or those issues and the government, okay, and the respective government, okay, who should look after that issue so that our problems would get resolved. Number 2, to express our views, suggest some general measures or remedies or some natural solutions to different problems or issues. So, students, we are not going to only tell or write basically about our problems. Rather, we are also going to take its responsibility, okay, or the issue that is taking place, okay, the problem, okay, that is arising, okay. So we should also be concerned about that, and we are to give some of our own suggestions, okay, as well as general suggestions too. Understood? Now, see, we have to express our views, means what should be done according to our point of views. Understood? So that that specific issue would be solved, okay, or would get a perfect solution as such. Now, suggest some general measures or remedies or some natural solutions. Now, students, some of our unique, solutions are to be provided, or basic suggestions are to be given forward, but with that, we have to also, provide some general remedies, okay, some natural solutions that or those we know from ages or from basically many days, okay, as such. So we know generally that what are to be done to make that problem solved. So some general or natural solutions are to be given with some of our own unique solutions. Now, look at the steps of writing a letter to the editor. Number 1, sender's address, okay. Number 2, date. Number 3, an address to the editor with the location of his office. Now, students, regarding number 1, sender's address. Now, who is sending a specific letter, okay, to the editor? That person's address should be mentioned, okay, mentioned beside the left hand side margin, okay, beside the left hand side margin of your copy, okay, and it shouldn't cross the middle of the line. If you fall short, okay, of writing, or you want to write more, okay, then after the middle of the first line, come to the next line, okay, then continue your writing and so on, okay, but it shouldn't cross the middle of the line as such, okay. So it should be beside the left hand side margin and it shouldn't cross the middle of the line, okay. Now, next one, number 2, date. So you have to mention nextly the date, or better to say, on which you are sending that letter, okay, the specific date on which you are sending that letter. Now students, one thing is there, that is, after the sender's address and the date, okay, one line gap should be given for neatness. So you have to give one line gap between sender's address and the date. Next you have to put number 3, an address to the editor, means you have to basically address now the specific editor to whom you are sending. Okay, you are sending that letter. So while sending to that specific editor, you have to write the editor at first. Okay, then with the location of his office. Now it should be the head office or preferably main office. Okay, his main office. So with the location of his office. Now with the location over here means basically with the address, okay, of his head office or the main office. So an address to the editor has to be done, means you have to address, you have to appeal. Okay, so for that, to the editor or only the editor you have to write. Okay, next what you have to do, you have to mention the address or you have to put the address of his main office or head office. Between number 2, date, and number 3, an address to the editor, you have to put again one line gap. One line gap again for neatness of your letter. Next, number 4, you have to mention subject. Okay, now number 3, as you have seen, an address to the editor, okay, with his head office location or address basically. So after that you have to give again one line space, then again you have to write down subject. And students, everything nowadays according to the pattern of CBSE board, okay, according to the pattern of CBSE board, you have to write everything almost beside the left hand side margin. Okay, beside the left hand side margin. Better to say you have to start writing beside the left hand side margin. So for the subject it is to, okay, you have to start beside the left hand side margin again, leaving one line gap after you mention the address of editors or the editor's main office, okay, and which newspaper you are writing, okay, after that detail which newspaper and or the magazine's name, then the address, okay. So after writing that, again you have to put one line gap, then the subject. Now for subject you have to write down SUBJCT, then put a hyphen, okay, then you have to write, then suppose misuse of a local park. You are not going to write down example, okay, as I have written over here. I have just written to provide you example how a subject should be written, okay, and what kind of subject basically is to be written. So here I have given an example, but you don't have to write down this example on, you don't have to, put brackets as such. No, you don't have to put brackets, okay, and you are not going to write down example as I have written over here. So what you are going to do, put subject SUBJCT, then put a hyphen, then write down directly the subject, okay, or the basic issue that you are facing. Understood? Next, number 5. salutation. Now over here I have given example again. Sir or madam, or respected sir or respected madam. So you have to write the basic salutation. Now after leaving one line gap, okay, after leaving one line gap where you have, okay, put an end to the subject. So after that line you have to leave one line gap, then you have to mention this sir or madam or respected sir or respected madam, okay, and that also to be written getting or which is to get started from the or beside the left hand side margin itself. Number 6, body, okay, body of the letter. Now after salutation you can provide or you cannot do. Basically it is safe not to provide any gap, okay. After salutation you have to put comma, then next line you have to start the body of the letter, and this is also preferably from the extreme left hand side, okay, from the extreme left hand side beside the left hand side margin. Now students, if you want you can just leave, very small gap, okay, if you just want only for the first, okay, first line you can leave a very small gap, but nowadays it is generally told to start from the extreme left hand side only, okay, but if you want you can just leave a very small gap, not 3 fingers gap as such, but a very small gap. An editorial letter preferably, okay, has to be divided into 3 paragraphs, okay, preferably has to be divided into 3 paragraphs, in which in the first paragraph we are going to concentrate, okay, on the subject. So I have written over here, mention this specific issue. So you have to write through the esteemed column of your daily. I want to highlight that, okay, you have to begin. That I will tell you later how you have to begin. Now after that the very subject matter, this specific issue has to be mentioned clearly. Now in the second paragraph you have to write about the disadvantages, about the basic problems that you are undergoing, okay, and incidents related to that, okay, and what are the incidents that are happening with you, okay, that or those incidents you have to mention. Now in the next paragraph, third paragraph, basic appeal and solutions, means you have to do the basic appeal. Basic appeal to whom? To the editor, to highlight your problems, okay, to highlight your problems in his newspaper or magazine. Now specifically you are going to appeal for your problems being highlighted. Then you are to undertake some responsibility of suggesting some ways to. So not only you are going to appeal to highlight the problems that you are facing, rather you are going to suggest some of the measures or some of the remedies, some of the solutions that you think would cure or curb that very problem or the specific issue. Now, some general solutions you have to give and some which you think and those are unique basically, or some unique solutions. If possible, some unique solutions by you, or something what you think as to be done, something you personally think. Okay, what basically the things are to be done to curb that problem. Okay, and something in general, okay, you have to suggest, means some general solutions you have to provide. Number 7, complementary closure. Okay, complementary closure. Example, yours truly. Now, for an editorial letter, okay, yours truly is suitable. Now, after yours truly, you have to put a comma. Okay, after yours truly, you have to put a comma. Then, on the next line itself, number 8, signature of the sender. Now, for example, Ankit Pandey or Asha Roy. So, suppose someone's name, okay, or basically who is sending, okay, that letter, he or she has to put his or her own signature over there. Okay, he or she has to sign. Okay, suppose Ankit Pandey, okay, full signature. Then Asha Roy, understood? Now, after the body, you have to leave one line gap, then put the complementary closure. Okay, then you have to put the complementary closure. Yours truly, suppose, is the complementary closure. Then after you put comma, okay, then on the next line itself, you have to put the signature. Suppose you are writing, okay, you are writing the letter. So, you have to put the signature of yourself. Means your own signature, okay, has to be there. For complementary closure and signature of the sender, okay, both are to be started beside the left hand side margin only. As you have followed, or as I have told you, okay, about the other things is procedure. Now for this, you have to follow the same procedure. That is, you have to begin from the left hand side, or basically beside the left hand side margin of your copy. Thank you, students.